Hello and welcome to another episode of TCAAC. I'm Scott and this is Nick, and we're talking about some of the hot stories that have been on the respective Hexus sites this week. On Hexus channel, probably the biggest story of the whole week isn't necessarily to do with technology, it's to do with the global economy on the whole, specifically the meltdown in the financial sector. That's affected shares across the board, including technology shares. Wrote a story yesterday where about 4 companies, including Microsoft and Apple, lost about 10% of their share value. And it's all basically come down to the banks and the insurance people sort of screwing the whole thing up. There's a story that's been running since the start of the year.
I love your summing up of what is actually an extremely complex situation.
No,
it's all screwed up.
Anything above that is just over-elaboration. So basically, as we know, since the start of the year, all these people started lending tons of money to what they call subprime borrowers, which are people who couldn't really afford to borrow. And then, they got all surprised when these people couldn't pay it anymore.
Yeah. And then they suddenly found out that they had loads and loads of debt and they had to repossess houses at like fractions of their values.
Exactly.
And they were losing money hand over fist.
And what's happening, but the really bizarre thing about it, I mean, the sort of hyperbole that's being used here is that it's the worst crisis since the Great Depression in the 20s. And the really bizarre thing is we've got companies like massive financial companies, especially US ones like Bear Stearns and more recently Lehman Brothers going bankrupt, and we've got other companies having to be bailed out by governments. AIG,
Northern
Fannie
Rock.
Mae and Freddie Mac, the bizarrely named sort of semi-state run.
They're saying that Goldman Sachs now is...
which is supposed to be sort of completely beyond reproach. The interesting debate around this, and again, this is slightly sort of off-topic in a tech way, is whether government should get involved. Now, ideally, in a sort of free market economy, banks should be allowed to succeed and fail according to their own performance. And there's a strong argument that says if the bank screwed it up, it should go under, shareholders should lose all their money, tough luck, you took a risk. But the problem is, when banks get to a certain size, or insurers get to a certain size, if they go under, it has sort of far-reaching implications to the whole economy. And that's where governments are having to step in and use our money, taxpayers' money, to bail these people out, which in turn leads to sort of greater calls for public interference in how these people are run. So I was just wondering what you think of that.
Well, I think it also in turn leads to pedantic people like me writing letters to banks saying that seeing as they've defaulted on their payments, I'm now charging them £25 for each collapse.
You know what I mean?
Just get a little bit of money coming my way. No, my take on it is I don't have an objection as such to Bank of England stepping in and providing low interest loans and cash funds or whatever to prop up banks. Okay, I don't have a problem with that. But what I do have a problem with is the people basically in charge of these operations, we're talking about the high-level execs, walking off with multi-million-pound payouts for basically doing their job wrong.
Yeah.
That's what annoys me. So, I mean, with Lloyd's takeover of HBOS, right, apparently the guy that runs HBOS, Andy someone or other, is 41 years old and was the youngest head of banking and been there 3 years, previously having been a high flyer at Asda. Wow. Which is obviously a good preparation for banking,
exactly.
As you can probably see by the fact that the whole thing's gone under, and it's had to be bought by Lloyd's. But the thing is that the Lloyd's
it hasn't gone under.
Hasn't gone under.
It was in a spot of bother.
Hasn't gone under, but in a spot of bother, been bought by Lloyd's, and the government have basically gone. That whole Monopolies Commission stuff. We're going to invoke that clause of. In the public interest.
That's right.
And so we can just ignore all of that red tape, and now they own 35% of the market.
Yep.
And it was supposed to be, 23% was, if you own 23% of the market
Something
after merger,
like that,
you weren't allowed to merge. All right. So anyway, but the guy that is in charge of Lloyd's, whose name completely escapes me because I'm that well prepared for this.
He should be Mr. Lloyd.
I know.
Really,
thank you very much. Yeah. He was ridiculed by the industry for being Mr. Safe Bet. He wasn't doing these cheap deals, and basically they're now like the Bank of Britain. That's what people are calling them, the Bank of Britain. But I don't have a problem with any of that because although the knock-on effect for someone with a mortgage with HBOS, they're not actually really going to see anything going on.
No, I have a mortgage with HBOS, and obviously I secretly. Sort of hope they're going to get a letter going, sorry, we blew it, all bets are off, you don't owe us any money anymore.
Exactly,
Go on
and you'll be sitting there like, score.
And next thing you'll get is a text from me from Tahiti.
Well, if you could sell your house for 25p or more. But yeah, if you can find an airline that doesn't fail whilst you're out there to get you back.
Well, there we are.
You know, so I mean, there's all these sort of things. But so yeah, so I mean, my only objection is when these highfalutin guys invoke their golden parachute clauses.
Yeah, all that stuff.
And basically, you know, essentially get paid a lot of money for having done their job badly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind the fact that like he might be on a huge salary. Yeah, that's what the market pays for someone in that position. I've never had a problem with that. You know, say all these fat cat sort of things. That's what someone's prepared to pay. If someone's prepared to pay 6, 7 figures as an annual salary, then everybody else has to do that. You know, it kind of drags everyone else along, kind of thing. That's fine, but when people just are bad at their jobs and get it wrong, you know, they bail out, and you know, so this guy's not going to be bored. Apart from if they paid them in, it would be better if they paid them in rather than actual cash. Here's your 2 million. Yeah. Here's your shares.
Yeah, your stock options or whatever.
Yeah, and that's how they pay them. So they give them a set number of shares. So they basically say, like, you know, rather than giving you 2 million quid, we're going to give you 200,000 shares.
And stock options normally have something built into them where you can only cash them in like sort of a number of years after you receive them. So that gives these people a vested interest in investing in the long-term success of their business.
No, I think really what it should be is the golden parachute is that you get stock options in the company which you basically have just driven to the brink of destruction, which you must sell within 3 months. And that would really bloody teach them. Yeah. That would really teach them, because then the guy's out of a job, he's got a load of shares which are worthless, and he's got to sell them. Yeah. And so he's going to feel just like a standard shareholder right now.
And that comes down to the sort of central problem for me, which is that I am instinctively in favour of light regulation. But the problem is these bankers, the managers and the traders make enormous bonuses.
That's not a euphemism. You are talking about bankers.
These complete merchant bankers.
Right.
Make a lot of money in bonuses and all that sort of thing while things are going well. And even if they don't get this sort of golden parachute you're talking about, even if they only lose their jobs when things go badly, I don't think that is offsetting to getting a 2 million quid bonus when things are going well. They've just lost their job, but they got 2 mil to sort of help them get over it.
What does wind me up though is that, like, you know, there's the people basically on the front line. I do feel sorry for them, because with the HBOS Lloyds merger, there are going to be job losses. There are going to be job losses, simple as that. And so you've got to feel sorry for, you know, the counter staff, the middle management kind of people, you know, branch managers and so on, who are now going to be looking for a job in a market where no one is hiring. Yep. You know, it's not going to be like, you know, oh, I'm going to go and apply to Northern Rock. It's just not going to happen.
No, exactly.
You know? So I do feel desperately.
And this is why it affects all of us. I mean, you know, you could argue, okay, Northern Rock goes under. That doesn't really affect anyone, even someone who's got a mortgage with Northern Rock, which incidentally I did have before my Halifax mortgage.
Yeah, so the tip here is, if you want to know who not to take a mortgage out with, email
Just
Scott.
Follow me.
Scott Biceno at hexus.net, scott.biceno at hexus.net. Email him, ask where his money is right now, who he's borrowing with, and don't go
Don't go there. Honestly, I'm cursed. I was Northern Rock and now I'm Halifax.
You are the Jonah of the financial...
But my bank account is with Lloyds. I'm probably giving all this stuff away to identity thieves now. Anyway, that's another matter. So, I feel right in the middle of it, but the point is that all this stuff won't affect me directly as a customer of these people, but it does affect everyone indirectly by the economy going down the toilet, job losses, general drying up of liquidity in the system. And that's why it's bad. Now,
as a little footnote, actually, these government bailouts, that have a problem with it. It's when they get private investment guys in there, and basically they attract them with huge returns. So regardless of how the company's performing, they're guaranteeing a big return 3-4 years down the line. That's where I have a problem, because who's going to be paying for that? The taxpayer.
Exactly, and that's the long and short of it. From all of this, normal consumers or normal investors are suffering on 2 counts. 1, the economy's going down the toilet. 2, our own money, taxpayers' money, is being spent on trying to rescue it. So that's that. That's our sort of summing up of the global financial situation. You don't need to watch Newsnight anymore. We've covered it all. And you've been watching Scott and Nick on TCAAC on Hexus TV.
And there's a little footnote: if you think this stuff's boring, it does actually affect you. And I feel really old now.
Yes, I know. Okay. How's your garden looking?
It's really nice, my lawn. Actually.
Yeah, I know. I've got some great petunias coming up.